I don't know if you can tell here, but the sky is starting to clear up the closer I get to the race site, which is a good thing because it was pretty smoky traveling through parts of the Central Valley. Sky is clear here, and just so it stays clear for the rest of the race. Well, when I start racing, I'm going to race in about an hour or so, and it's going to last like 2.5 hours. Not bad.
A group of cyclists coming the other way? Yeah. You never know.
Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. Because of all the key climbing in this race, and it's on the same weekend as Nationals, this is my replacement race for Nationals. In about a mile, the climbing is going to start, so let's jump to that. My buddy Bob, in the Splunk kit in front of me on the right, was saying that at the start of this structure that we're passing under now, to the top of the climb, that segment will take us about 25 minutes. Looking at my downloaded Garmin data, this is about 3.9 miles, and on this one I did it in a little over 22 minutes. Again, I'm very thankful for the 65 plus category that we have available. We had 9 people sign up, and only 6 showed up. One of the people that was supposed to show up was one of the stronger riders, and apparently he got in a crash yesterday. Not hurt bad, but he decided to take the day off today. And you know, again, we are all over 65, so it was a good thing to do. This is a tough course, and we've already lost one person, so he's dropped off, and so now there's 5 of us. The rider in front of me on the left, next to Bob, that's the old guy of the group. That's my teammate Gilberto. He is 71. The rider a few bike lengths in front of us, that's Rex. My buddy Bob was saying that Rex is one of the strongest climbers in our age group in California. I'm practicing being patient so I just don't jump onto his wheel. I'm also concerned because of the problems I was having in my last big ride on Thursday, and I seem to be doing better with that now. Still, because I was a little nervous coming into this race, my heart rate was elevated. So it's going a lot higher than I would have expected at this point. I'm seeing 123, 124 right now on the screen, and that seems appropriate, but there was times I was looking down, I actually saw it a little above 160. Since my max is around 164, you know, that's pretty darn tight. Well, Gilberto decides to get up to him in a nice even fashion, and so I just got on his wheel, and I'm real thankful that he's doing this. So now my main concern is being able to get to the top with the group. Even though the grade in the upper left-hand corner says 0, we're really in kind of a false flat section. So let's jump over to the feed zone, and the feed zone is where the real climbing starts. It's been years since I've done this road race, and I remember the feed zone, and I remember how steep things got after that. Gilberto usually uses a super high cadence, certainly faster than my cadence, and I notice he's starting to come off of Rex's wheel, so I get onto Rex's wheel. My buddy Bob was telling me before the race that Rex, being a real strong climber, if he goes, he's just going to let him go, and then he's just going to do his own race with whatever's left. I, on the other hand, finding myself on Rex's wheel, I'm going to stay there for as long as I can. And should I get dropped before the top? Well, at least I'll be a little closer to the top, so when the others come by, I'll have a better chance of being on their wheel as we do the descent. When Gilberto goes in back of me, I can hear him start talking to Bob in a little bit. He's not doing it right now, but asking about heart rate, how his heart rate is. So apparently what's happening with Gilberto is that his heart rate is going a lot higher than he believes it should. And when he was telling me the numbers afterwards, yeah, it was going up pretty high, certainly higher than mine. Apparently he had a bit of AFib last night, and when he woke up this morning, he was back in sinus, so he decided to come. But as I said before, his heart rate's shooting up, so what he's deciding to do is just back off a bit. At least he will in a bit, I think, and then maybe just end up with doing 1 lap. And this is a 2-lap race, 23 miles a lap. Jumping forward a bit, we're going to be leaving a 3% section and going up to a 7 and 8% section. We are still together, but we're starting to get stretched out. I've been riding his wheel and then just mimicking what he's doing, so I don't want to go in front of him, but now as it's getting a little steeper, I feel a little more comfortable just standing and kind of doing my own pace, but I'm certainly not going to go and try and jump ahead of Rex because that could just be like poking the bear, and I certainly don't want to do that on this climb. I spoke with Rex after the race. I wanted to get an idea of how hard he was going on this climb so I could measure it against how hard I was going. I wasn't necessarily going right below my red line limit, but I was maybe going a step below that. When I look at my heart rate right now, I'm at about 93%. So yeah, I am putting some effort into this thing. Rex was telling me that he was putting a little bit of effort in, but he was staying mostly moderate because he had some knee problems, and so he didn't want to exasperate that. So he was just going at a more comfortable pace than I was. And so I just kind of laughed and go, okay, thanks. Jumping forward a couple of minutes, Gilberto, concerned about his high heart rate, starts to back off. I continue on with Rex. I don't know what's going on behind me. All I'm doing is just concentrating on Rex. When he slows a little, I slow a little. Bob, in the meantime, is starting to get concerned that I'm up here with Rex still. What he doesn't want to have happen is me get to the top with Rex, then have both of us drop like a rock on the descent and work together. Odds are, if that happened, that when we came around again for the second lap, that Rex would probably drop me going up this climb. And then what would happen is that it would be me trying to stay ahead of whoever's chasing, and that'd be Bob, before I got to the finish. Keep in mind that, again, these laps are 23 miles long. And so when we get to the top, I'll have about another 19 miles before I get to the finish. There's still another climb after that, down a few miles, and then there's the finishing climb. For those of you familiar with my videos on my channel, you know that I have a little problem with end of race strength. At a certain point, my legs go from 100% down to about 20%. And so it'll be hard to stay away for 19 miles on this course from Bob with that 20%. All this time I was on Rex's wheel, I never turned around. So I didn't know what was going on behind me. I didn't want to turn around. I think I was thinking that if I did turn around and I saw everybody on my wheel, then that would play my mind by having a little bit of dejection thrown in there. And I really couldn't afford to have that because I needed to concentrate on this guy and I needed not to blow up. Again, we're fast forwarding, this time about a little over 3 minutes, and we're heading into the first of two walls. And the last wall is going to be right at the end at the top. My buddy Bob, at best, is a little speck in the background, and I'm still with Rex. Now, this wall is a concern. It's always a concern. I'm now standing, so I feel comfortable kind of doing my own pace. It's my belief that if I was on his wheel, I may not feel as comfortable as what I'm doing now, and therefore I'll have a better chance of being dropped. Of course, I'm also hoping that what I'm doing isn't poking the bear, so I'm not trying to go ahead of him. I'm trying to ride next to him without half-wheeling him so I don't incite him. Though I love climbing, walls don't seem to love me. Looking at the rear camera insert, it looks like Bob has started the wall or is real close to starting it, and that the other two are a little ways back behind him. I remember at this point looking up to see where the top of the wall actually was, and then this is where I see Rex start and ever so smoothly looking just go ahead of me. With my heart rate at 160 and my max at 164, I'm not doing any jumping to try and get on his wheel. I'm just trying to keep it steady. The watch phrase for me right now is limiting my losses. More specifically, minimizing the time where he gets to the top versus when I get to the top. I'm still going 6 miles an hour minimum on this climb, and currently I see that I'm at 7 miles an hour. He's not pulling away any faster, so I have a chance. Now at the top, it kind of crowns and then it goes down for a little bit, so that gives you a bit of a rest. It also gives the opportunity for him to actually put some power down, whatever he has left at this point, and get even a greater distance versus my being able to put some power down and make up some distance. Rex is in the driver's seat right now, not only because he's ahead of me, but because he's a known quality climber. Now, my climbing has improved, especially for those of you who have been watching my videos, but I'm not at his level. When he gets to the top, he's going to have another 19 miles just to complete this lap. Then he'll have another lap on top of that. So I'm thinking that when he gets to the top, he should back off a bit and let me catch up, and then we'll be able to work together. It looks like he's not resting much on that little descent. So that means I can't rest that much on that little descent. So you see this kind of undulations, and those undulations are very steep, small kick-ups until you get to that final climb that you're seeing way in the distance there. I mean that final wall. Jumping forward 30 seconds, we are now on that first kick-up, and it looks like I'm going to be able to make contact with him. Jumping forward 90 seconds, you can see that I didn't, and that I'm getting close to him again, but I am starting to run out of gas. Actually, I'm not running out of gas. It's my muscles. They're starting to get overloaded, and I am doing what I can to help them along. So sometimes I'm using a higher cadence to give them a bit of a rest, and sometimes I'm going to a lower cadence when I need to get a little bit of speed in there. Look up the road to where it gets to the top. That is the second wall. And because there's a second wall on top of this climb in a race situation, it's going to be a bear. Rex is so close that I can almost touch him. It seems like all I need to do is stand on my pedal for about 3 or 4 strokes, and then I'll be on his wheel. Jumping ahead 30 seconds, we've gone over our last steep kick up, and we started on this last wall. Once he hits the top, there'll be no flat section to speak of. He'll immediately drop. He'll drop like a falcon diving to get some takeout. Jumping forward 80 seconds, and he's just about at the top, and I still have some steep real estate to climb. I never let up. About a minute later, I reach the top, and I immediately start to work on chasing him down. Problem is that 1 minute, he's probably like half a mile away right now. I don't know what his descending skills are like. Mine are okay. Fortunately, there's not a lot of twists and turns in here. While I can hug the top tube, I don't do any super tuck. I know that Bob, or whoever was chasing me, and I'm thinking it's Bob at this point, is way behind me, so now I continue to go after Rex. Jumping forward again to right before the start of the second climb, Bob catches up to me. Now, Bob is a much faster descender than I am. It could be that his bike is about 15 years newer than mine. It could be the differences in our bearings and our wheels. Maybe I'm not as low to the top tube as I'm thinking I am in the descent. Not sure, but he's definitely a faster descender than I am. So we figure it's still a long ways to race. We're not going to kill ourselves. We're going to keep it nice and even until we get to the real fast section, and then we'll really pick it up. Our hopes are that the numbers will work for us, the numbers being 2 against 1. And of course, we're also hoping that Rex gets a flat. We worked well together. We didn't have to say a lot. We just knew what to do. When we came around for the second lap, as we're starting to go up on the climb, I'm looking ahead. I'm not seeing Rex. And I'm also not putting in the power that I was earlier. So we decided to just keep it nice and even because there's still like 19 miles to go after we get to the top of the climb. And we still have some more fast riding to do. And I'm also concerned about how appreciably my legs die off toward the end of the race. All the while thinking that when we catch him, that I'm going to tell him, you know, you should have waited for me. Fast forward to toward the end of the race and we're on the finishing climb. No, we never caught him. I'll never be able to tell him he should have waited, because apparently he shouldn't have. I don't know why, other than I just generally suck, that my legs were having problems starting about half a lap ago. So here we are coming into the finish. We hit the 200 meter to go sign. I want to kick around him, but this is what happens. If this was someone else's video and I was that person, people watching this would be thinking that I'm giving a little distance here so I can jump on the pedals, get a little speed, and then just pass him. I couldn't even stand up. Actually, I did for about 2 revolutions and then I sat back down. I took a look behind me just in case. This was a hard-fought 3rd place. Special mention in this video goes out to another buddy of mine, Jim. Jim has been the chief ref at a number of my races in the past. Jim thought he'd play a joke and put out the 1 to go lap. I was so tired that I believed it for a second. I then looked ahead to Bob to see if he was pedaling hard. I was really tired. Got video camera.
Okay.
There. You look about right.
Which photo was this?
65 plus.
Well, I had to do this.
I gotta get one.
Marathon.
Oh, here. The 65's got to walk up. That's why they have steps. Okay, so how about this guy will do this?
I thought you guys were 35 plus.
Jeez, I know.
Incredible.
Same like yesterday.
We went through this. Both your arms up.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. Oh, hold on.
Or put your arm on me.
548-640. I don't see a picture.